welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello everyone, welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com's weekend frivolity, our weekend show, our free show. The Broiler Chicken Show. Free show. Back. I suppose we're hip deep in political season here. I know a lot of you don't really care too much for either my political views or what the hell's happening in this communist utopia of China. But my political party, unfortunately, went down to. Welcome back. I don't know whether they declared defeat yet, but it looks like the socialists are going to retain power here in the People's Republic of British China. I don't know. Anyway, so kind of a sanguine day today politically on the local front. A little disappointed. Although I get the feeling that Spirit actually probably wanted everything to stay the same. And I suppose, ironically enough, if Canada is indeed a short, like I teach all of you, and I've been barking on public forums ad nauseum, it would make sense that the socialists would stay in power, right? It would make sense that the internal economics, the actual value of this place continually gets eroded. It would make sense that citizens like myself will be driven away from here, and I will, be forced to relocate because the taxes and the insane sort of soak the rich mentality will just keep going on and on. And it's anyway, so a little bit of a sanguine day for the for people who espouse good economics and good behavior fiscally from our society. Basically, let the orgy continue. We don't have any money, but what the hell? We'll just keep printing, and prices at the grocery store keep going up. So fucking what? Suck my you know what. Anyway, there's a nice, interesting comment to start the broadcast. I'm sure everybody's like, oh no, there he goes again, off on some crazy ass tangent. So, actually, an interesting conversation. I'll just make one more comment, politics, and then I suppose we'll get into market stuff. And really, I'm not even quite sure what I can talk to you guys about here now. But somebody was even mentioning that there is a very real possibility that a couple individuals with fairly deep pockets, if they want, the sad part about it is what's quote unquote rich? Do you have to actually be a quote unquote billionaire to be considered rich in this world now? Would $100 million make you a rich person? I don't know. It's a tough one. Certainly being a millionaire is basically like me growing up having like maybe 100 grand in your pocket kind of idea. Like, just as I've said repeatedly to all of you, that's the whole point of these great resets, is just simply ram down your throat that you must add a zero onto the end of all of the price tags of everything in society. And begrudgingly, society will slowly raise wages for the workers over time to sort of play catch up. So right in the great resetting part of the window, life really sucks because all the zeros are being added, but wages are not going up. And all the sort of people at the bottom of of society are all getting absolutely screwed over here. And I think that's the reason why these things usually actually eventually end up in us humans actually murdering each other and being perfectly comfortable with the idea that actually you're doing your duty murdering other human beings, which is absolute insanity. And I mean, is this species really evolved? If we actually once every, I don't know, 80 years or so, go into this mindset where you just mindlessly sacrifice your life for some other dictator or despot or something. And you can quite literally go through century by century by century. And I would argue that the root of all of this is the bankster class and the bankster elite. Famously, one guy was touring an estate back in the 18th century, and he said, "God, this place this must be owned by a Rothschilds. Even a king couldn't afford this place. That's how well these bankster crooks do in this environment." And I think they've done it again. Certainly, I don't see any change to what's happening here to the human condition. So, with that said, we in the public go, "Ooh, $1 million, $100 million? That must be a lot of money." To a lot of these guys, blowing 100 million bucks, and ironically enough, you could probably even somehow even make it a tax deductible expense. It wouldn't surprise me, just to push these markets around a bit, and maybe you place a bet on this, and the bet loses. But if it's got you to the point where you are psychologically thinking the way that this oligarch class wants you thinking, then maybe that's a good use of your money. Maybe that is a good use of 50 million, $100 million, just to make the public think one thing, when in reality, and somebody was mentioning this, that the polls actually right now are not nearly as disconnected as this kind of image is showing us. So, food for thought. It is an interesting sort of commentary on this world, this sort of post Soviet Union capitalist controlled, oligarch controlled world. I actually said, like, geez, 10 years ago, I honestly felt like we were going to move towards a sort of Dickinsonian kind of society. Of course, Dickens wrote Scrooge and Christmas Carol. You're all familiar with that. So it wouldn't surprise me by the end of this that we have things like debtors' prisons coming back. Klaus, of course, says you will own nothing and be happy. So what a perfect scenario. If you don't pay your debts, then off to prison you go, which, and kind of like North Korea, generations of your family will be sent to debtors' prisons just to make damn sure that you don't ever think about not paying your debts. Which in essence is basically financial slavery. So, kind of an interesting world that we live in. I'm not quite sure what my role in all of this is. You know, Ironically enough, a lot of the rhetoric around all of this stuff is emotionally triggering. It gets you sort of, small guy trying to get ahead in this world. It seems like almost impossible task, which leads you to desperation, which leads you to making desperate and irrational decisions. And if anything, the irony of it all is half of what I'm trying to do is to, try and encourage the public not to make emotional decisions and not to make irrational decisions when it comes to doing things like managing your personal finances. Oh, well, crazy world we live in. So to a certain degree, one might even argue that this image that you see on the screen might be completely manufactured to get us plebes and us little people all thinking one direction when in reality, actually, reality is very different. And I have to say, the rhetoric heading up to the election here locally, and I had said recently to all of you that I believe that this was a good litmus test for what is actually real versus all this sort of, the 1%, manipulating media, manipulating news headlines, manipulating social media, manipulating these betting markets and all this kind of stuff. And frankly speaking, the rhetoric, especially out of a lot of social media people lately, was just simply the entire population is sick of this socialism, and the socialists are going to be run out of town on a rail. When in reality, what actually happened, and this is a function of the way that the politicians have set up the voting system, so don't get me wrong, there's plenty of sort of about all that. But in reality, you can see the socialists here in the orange have actually squeaked out a win here in this local election. So if you had listened to sort of the social media people and stuff, you would have thought that you would have seen a very, very different result at the end of all this. And I have a sneaky suspicion that the same thing is happening down in the States. I don't like it. And as I had said, I may actually be encouraged to leave China, which really sucks because, of course, you all know, if it's one thing you have all gotten very familiar with is, do I have a slight emotional attachment to my beautiful son? And I just don't know what to do. It just tears my heart because, ironically enough, this is the irony of all this, is I'm going to go to the care facility where he is right now, and all of them are going to be jumping for joy because, quite literally, if the conservatives had come in, they probably would have had to gone through some belt tightening because, frankly speaking, these people, they're spending money that they really can't afford. So ironically enough, when I go and basically jump headlong into the world of overt socialism in the medical sort of care facility environment that I'll be heading into after I talk to all of you, they're all going to be tickled pink at this result, which is a bit ironic, I suppose. But anyway, I'm not quite sure what the good Lord's path is for me through all this. Just got to try and keep my chin up. PMA for the win. I mean, the irony of it all is that because we know how to play the game, and ironically enough, we're actually coming into a window where we're probably going to see a pretty substantial price increases in speculative assets here. We should be able to dramatically outperform. And if anything, maybe I just, yeah, a house is a couple $1,000,000 here. Well, Brian, go and make a couple $1,000,000 and just buy it with cash, and enough is enough. Well, I don't know. I guess that's got to be the end result out of all this. Anyway, so all I'm saying here is, I had said that this is an interesting litmus test. I mean, clearly, this political party, this blue political party, it didn't even exist like a year or two ago. It was all socialism, 100% socialist here. So at the very least, I think that the socialists have been given a major warning. And if we have a by-election or something like that, this could flip over in the conservatives' favor very easily and quickly. So by all means, and at 47 is the magic number you need to win to actually have a majority government. So there will be no majority. The irony of it all, and they often call the Green Party the communists. I'd just say NDP is probably as communist as the Greens are. But this is actually going to be exactly like the Canadian federal politics, where the outright commies and the leftist socialists, they get together to form 47 seats. And in essence, the socialists are in power again. So ironically enough, this is basically a mirror of the federal outcome that's currently at play in Canada. So anyway, just a word of warning. I thought this was an interesting. I've said recently that this election was going to be an interesting litmus test, and I don't think the socialists are gone by a long shot. Hopefully, I'm corrected, and if anything, what might even be better, and I've said this publicly, the market absolutely hates when one political power is in charge of the system. Absolutely hates it. And I could spend an hour or two just going through all the various different governments when one political party was completely in charge, and what the markets did. However, if you have a situation, and the ideal situation for the capitalists is to have the money grubbers, right? The Republicans, the right wing, actually in control of the political portion of the government that controls the taxation and the purse strings. So in the United States, that's the US Congress. So, in a weird sort of way, it would actually be better for the markets and for capitalism and all that to have this doofus elected, but she's basically a lame duck. And the Congress is run by the Republicans, and she just sits there and flounders away about all her wonderful socialist and communist ideas. Maybe hell, she even starts getting blowjobs in the White House. Wonder what that would look like. I wonder what a male Monica Lewinsky would look like. I wouldn't be surprised. That would actually be the best outcome for us in the market. So anyway, I'll leave the politics at that for now. Long and short of it here is we still have it is the 20th of October. So we have 1 week, 2 weeks, and 2 days, 2 weeks and 2 days to get this silly political event underway. In a weird sort of way, I kind of feel like this is the calm before the storm because interestingly enough, actually very much like what you're seeing here in BC, I have a feeling that this is basically what the results are going to be like, dead heat. And we're probably not going to get a resolution of this until probably into January. And I did listen to one US commentator. God, isn't that funny how I see his face? It's happened with Newt Gingrich last week. I couldn't remember his name. Richards, Jim Rickards. Anyway, and he was saying that actually there is a very realistic possibility that Mr. Trump is actually deemed unelectable by the U.S. Constitution, the 12th Amendment. And you actually have J.D. Vance, who actually becomes the president nominee until the Supreme Court sort of figures out what Mr. Trump's eligibility is to actually be elected to the office of president of the United States after being declared an insurrectionist. So this isn't over by a long shot. If anything, this almost feels like we're in the eye of the storm. And actually, that's probably a really, really good segue. We started late this week, and I was in a really weird funk yesterday. I was going to do a video sort of outlining all the shitcoin levels I'm interested in Friday, but I got called away on personal stuff. And yesterday I just kind of flaked out, especially with the election and all that. We didn't really do a newsletter this week, although I did ask Chris to just throw together a ChatGPT kind of summary of the news articles. So he might have something along those lines for us. And I might post it to the site here later on this evening, but we didn't have enough time to do a newsletter piece here this morning. So I'll just sort of go through what we would normally do with the newsletter. I suppose, every week I do like to make a commentary on what I see coming out of the Bitcoin market and sort of dovetailing that. And maybe Chris, maybe what we could do as sort of market of note. Maybe what we could do is like this tweet. I'll even give you maybe this tweet because it does look like bullish setups are trying to set up in Bitcoin. And I suppose, I don't really like spending a gazillion dollars on anything. But maybe there's a trade here for you on yield Bitcoin. We do know, of course, that, and actually even the chart I did this morning, I think is even the best right up here. We do know that next fall, we should be heading into some sort of big sort of orgy peak. I don't see any reason why that won't happen. Also, too, if we think about things like the money cycles, I think I have it in here, but I don't. these are just pictures, but you've all seen me talk to you guys about like the 4-year money cycle. So we're now back into the environment here where the central banksters are less concerned about inflation and they're more concerned about growth. And keep in mind, of course, we live in this debt society. So as a result, the economies must grow. And if they have to just simply print money to make sure that the economies grow, well, that's what they'll do. And if that means that the price of goods and services in our society has to hyperinflate because of the money printing, well, that's what will happen. And if you don't like it, of course, I made phallical references already once in this video. I suppose you know exactly what I'm going to suggest you ought to do. So, I mean, that's the brutal reality of the world that we live in. But having said that, did anything happen in this cryptocurrency world around 2008 and into 2009, 2010? Was there anything that sort of happened that maybe could have been life-changing events that had you hopped on the bandwagon there in 2008, 2009, 2010? You might have done pretty well. I don't know. Maybe you're a guy who just fell ass backwards into mining this funny thing called Bitcoin, and you're just handed hundreds, if not thousands, of these damn things at almost nothing, and all you had to do is just sit there and do nothing. You become an instant billionaire. Well, I know one gentleman who did exactly that, and ironically enough, he's really, really good at telling the public to come in and buy the top of the market. So, I don't know. Obviously, that was a pretty important window with our money cycle. Halfway through the financial crisis, you can't really see the movement in short-term interest rates, but I would definitely say you could make the argument that you see it here through things like bond prices. And just the simple fact that 2013, 2014, then into 2015, this is the same sort of part of the cycle. I don't know, anybody do anything there? And remember, Julian and I started this funny little company here in 2014, and woo-wee, that was a hell of a rally. Fortunately, it kind of probably best to avoid that peak year. Then, the next cycle along, I don't know, was there any money to be made in getting involved in the Bitcoin space here in 2019, 2020? I don't know. I remember we had one guy used to help me do these videos. And I actually extolled his virtues of him stepping in and buying 88.6s on the Bitcoin price right through this window at like 4,000. And then into the end of this insanity, stupidity, ridiculousness. I will sacrifice my life to save capitalism. Well, you're a stupid idiot. Why on earth would God give you life to just go and throw it away for some stupid fucking bankster crooks? Just keep in mind, the bankster crooks, the way that they get you to act is to trigger your emotional response mechanism. That is the way that they get you to act, is think emotionally. Don't think reasonably, think emotionally. So, I honestly believe, and especially looking back in hindsight, I mean, did the world come to an end after that silly sickness? I mean, no, I used to have a client who used to always say this, and it's the most beautiful line. It is literally the end of the world every single day for somebody around there in this world. It is always the end of the world for somebody. And especially with 7-8 billion of us running around, well, there's going to be a lot of people that today is the end of the world for them. That's just the way that it is. I've been wondering why the hell I'm still here 14 years later. Now, I would keep saying 14. It's only 13 and a half now. But I don't know. So, point of the matter here is, of course, when the money cycle got to the point where they've jacked it up so much. Oh shit, we went too hard. And now look at all this inflation. Well, they had to basically put us all back in our boxes. And I mean, that's the beautiful part about this sine wave is this is so damn consistent. This almost basically looks like the heartbeat of our economy, right? This is your what do they call that? I want to say EKG. Is that right? I don't know. Anyway, right? Beep, beep, beep. What we don't want to see is beep. We don't want to see that. So ironically enough, this is it's just business as usual. There's nothing really new going on with any of this. The key here is don't, who can tell me that the stupidest line that we heard right through this part of the cycle right here, and I'll help you. Let's see if any of you 48 of you can remember this. When an asset doubles in price, don't sell half to establish a risk-free position where you can't get hurt by the market. Go and buy what? And if anything, it is the most beautiful analogy of these stupid idiot morons that act emotionally. Very good, Constantine. Very good, DMAC. Eddie. Go and buy vacas, gold-plated vacas, no less, right? Bastards. You wonder if those people who ate gold-plated steaks 5-10 years ago are going, God damn, I should have just fucking held on to that damn gold. Why on earth am I eating this stuff and then pooping it out like a week or two later? I swear there should be a business, I suppose, all these stupid Arabs, the way that they're just flaunting their riches. And of course, the irony of it all is that if the 1% actually gets their wishes and they create these stupid battery powered cars for our society, which I don't think is going to happen for a while. But anyway, if they do get their wishes, that stupid, what the hell's his name? Here's Brian and his senility again. Bank of Canada governor, old governor, Crow. I always want to say Crow, but I don't think that's his name. Anyway, World Economic Forum puppet guy. We want the world to borrow $100 trillion at interest, cocksuckers, to build out this battery-powered car world we're all going to live in. Of course, any mention to what this horrible lithium industry does to societies? You ever been to the Congo and seen what the hell these lithium mines look like? Good boy, what a nightmare. Anyway, not funny. Got a total blank on that guy. Anyway, there's another guy. I can see him, but I can't remember his name. And it sounds to me like Brian's getting a little senile. Anyway, so here we are on the money cycle, and you can see here they come, cranking interest rates down. It's interesting how they would not lower interest rates when Trump was president, and Trump had to summon Jerry to the White House. What are you doing? What are you? Well, Donnie, I'm trying to fuck you over. How am I doing? Am I doing a good job? Anyway, right on cue this go round. Interesting. Anyway. So, all of us involved in the speculative business, in the speculative space, well, this is basically your time to get your shit together. I sure hope you're ready for this, and the bottom line here is the market doesn't even care whether you're ready or not. You're either going to participate in it. This sine wave is going to follow its regular suit, or you're not. And it's just that simple. I mean, the market doesn't care. And the irony of it all is, when do you think that most of the public is going to come in and start clamoring about, I'm a capitalist and I want to make money and all that kind of stuff in the marketplace? And they're not going to come in until the very end of the move. It's what they always do. This is so stunningly cliche. Last cycle, we were running around. Where were we? Uh, were we in Portugal? Was that the end of last cycle? I can't even remember. Yeah, I guess it was, eh? Because we were all running around with this stupid sickness stuff and all that. And the sad part about it was, new people to the site and new people, a lot of people that were relatively new to the crypto space, and they were all enthusiastic and rah rah bull and all that kind of stuff. And what they didn't realize was that they were going to have to go through a correction washout period, and it's only now that actually we're back into the bull. Um, I can think of one German lady. She was I think she was a tattoo artist. I can't remember. I won't name names. I don't even know if she's even still watching and participating. But I can think of her in particular, where back in like 2008, I think it was 2020, 2021. She had basically come into the space and, hey, I want to learn how to do this. And we were running around talking about spending money on chalets and stuff like that in Portugal and building TRI campuses because we had already made all the money when the market ran up. And literally, you had to sit there for the past 2 or 3 years just waiting for the market to finally calm down and to start basing. And of course, here we are starting our insanity again. And my hunch here is that in about 1 year's time, we are here in October, so 1 year and 1 month, actually, to be precise. If you have your shit together and you are in and you're rocking and rolling in 1 year's time, and Lord knows whether you're a little old lady and you want to just go and buy all the shit coins that Brian's buying. I mean, it's just really no brainer stuff. Or you want to go and invest in good quality fundamental names. That's why we have Sjord around the site. He's the brains of the operation. And now Julian is suggesting he wants to get a trading plan up and running that is uniquely Julian. So it'd be really interesting to see his perspective on how he invests money. If you want to come to TRI and learn how to do this, I don't think there's a better place on the internet that educates people on how to actually build and run a small business of trading. Um, I think I've told you repeatedly, I'm not going to tell you what to buy or sell. I don't really care what you do with your money. The request that I was given basically about 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago now, was to just, I had the opportunity to make a positive difference in this world. By me just barking at you, oh, go and buy this, or go and sell that. That's not going to make any difference in this world. I mean, hell, maybe I'm right. And you go and you see your account balance go up and you think that I walk on water. Well, that's not going to change this world. That's going to have a whole bunch of Brian minions running around, and all zombies going, okay, well, what do I do next? What do I do next? And I absolutely hate that. Right? I'm not here to build a bunch of zombies. Couldn't give a shit about whether you buy or sell my ideas, and half the time I'm wrong. In fact, ideally, I shoot for trying to be wrong a good 40% of the time. So just understand that's brutal reality. You will never be right 100% of the time in this game, and that's why I don't like that sort of everybody sort of just being brainless minions and following along whatever you do. I don't like that. What I'm here to do, make a positive difference in this world. Number one, try and educate you on how this world actually works, and of course, we wouldn't have a regular broadcast without a rant about our buddy, the Money Masters video, although I think I spelled that wrong. Anyway, you do yourself a favor. And I think half of my job here, while I'm still doing this public interaction, is you have no choice if you do want to actually, cast off the shackles of how corrupt this world is. and start turning the equation around in your favor, well, you have no choice. You have to start educating yourself on what the real world is like and how the real world works. And that is watching Mr. Money Masters here. Probably the absolute best documentary I have ever seen on how the markets work, and more importantly, how the bankster class basically enslaves the human race. And I mean, unfortunately, it's everything that you hear me get upset about, but at the same time, too, would you rather know the reasoning behind why the world works the way that it does, or sit there and just don't understand this and it just doesn't make any sense why the world is as fucked as it is? You know, so there are a lot of people in this world that go, you know what? I don't want to know. La 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 la. I'll go and punch my clock and be a good slave and pay the taxes and go to the football game on the weekends, paint my belly green or something with a letter of my city on it, and just live my best life, half drunk, eating pierogies and sausages out of trailer trail park. What do they call those? Tailgate parties. I don't know. There's a lot of people that are just more than happy. You know what? I don't want to know, Brian. I don't want to know. If you do want to know, and if this is the whole, how did that line go? You can't handle the truth. Derive your truth handling abilities. Do you want to know the truth? Do you really want to know how this system works? Well, if you do, the table is set for you. Spend the next 3-4 hours of your life. You'll never be able to look at capitalism the same way again. I guarantee it. Anyway, every week I say the same thing. So, point of the matter here is we are in the part of the cycle where you should be paying attention. You should be getting ready for those life-changing events, 10x, 100x. I could very easily see there will be a new set of millionaires, billionaires minted over this next year or so. The key here, though, is don't get caught long after we have gone through the cycle pivot. And you can see the cycle pivot here probably, goes on, my hunch is through the early part of 2016. 26. I lost a decade. Somewhere in there. And the thing is that you have to force yourself to actually be selling into those events. That's really hard to sort of just discretionarily, is that a word, discretionarily, decide this is exactly the point that I'm going to sell. That's not easy. And I don't know anybody that actually says that it is. I've never met anybody that could do that, pick exact tops and bottoms and market. What I wanted to show you was, I just want to refresh this. I did it all on my laptop. So this is my big computer. Hopefully I saved that. So hopefully this transfers over. Let's see what happens. Survey says, please, 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 pretty please with sugar on it. Yeah, it looks like it did. So that's good. That one? Yeah, we'll just deal with price for now. All right, so a couple things that sort of jumped out at me today. Still think we're just sitting right in the apex of the bow tie. If you've been watching these videos recently, you've heard me chat about calling this Casey's bow tie. Casey looks so cute in his bow tie. Anyway, there's the middle of the bow tie. Here's one side of the bow tie. Here's the other side of the bow tie. What's interesting about this image is if I actually measure, oops. If I actually measure the distance from, did this not transfer over? Oh, not weird. Oh, fine. These computers drive me crazy. Hold on. Such a piss off that you can't use like two computers at the same time. Huh. Now, where are the date references? Well, that sucks. Anyway, if you go from, say, the apex of the bow tie, and we just measure out, go from here to here. I kind of think that we have to basically do the same thing on the other side of the bow tie, which of course nobody's going to like. So there to there. So my hunch is that just as this sort of coiled, then we're going to get to the other side of the bow tie. And now on the other side, we do the exact opposite over here. I think that's actually what we're going to do here going forward. Well, who knows? Everybody's entitled to an opinion. That's my opinion. And so that's kind of why I have the market. I like the idea that the market's going to move higher here. You can see we have the election coming up here, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is a bit of a buy the rumor and then maybe sell the news kind of idea. And I actually think that this is going to come to some sort of head. Like I kind of like what I showed you with that BC election. I don't know whether I showed you the results. I mean, basically, they still don't know who actually won. And it might be like a week or two before we actually know who actually won that. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see some wild gyration all around here on the other side of this apex. And the inauguration date is sort of the final conclusion of all this. And then once we get on the other side of the inauguration date, I think everything is settled. And as I said, there's one pundit down in the States that says that he thinks there's a very good chance that JD Vance is actually going to be your next president of the United States. So you can try and figure that one out. But kind of like what I was saying there a few minutes ago about the local election and how if you listen to social media and you listen to all these sort of betting places, the socialists were going to be run out of office on a rail. And it turns out that they actually won so far. I mean, who knows? This might flip flop. You never know. But the point of the matter here is this is way, way closer than any social media person or any political pundit ever thought. And I have a sneaky suspicion that's exactly what's going to happen here in the States. That this is, these are bets, and somebody has placed some really, really, really big bets based on your and I lives, like somebody dropping $1 million on this market. I mean, fuck, I'd rather take the $1 million and go buy a house for Liam, thank you very much, than waste it on such a frivolous activity as that. But if you're worth $1 billion, $1 million is fucking chump change. And so I think that's kind of what's happened here. So anyway, as I said, I mentioned this earlier. I won't open up that can of worms again. So this was the image that I had tweeted out here earlier today. Also, too, I got rid of the date references. That's a bit odd. Oh well. So I definitely think that we could definitely go up and test this high, no doubt about it, right up top here. And frankly speaking, considering how close the high is, I would not be surprised if they go and pop the top here. The only problem with this is that if they do actually do that, then I don't think that this whole topping pattern is actually completed. And you might just find, because keep in mind they did this in the last cycle. Remember, I told you a gentleman at the site who used to help me with the videos, and I doubt many of you watching this actually even remember this. But, through the sickness, totally manufactured event, they literally took Bitcoin and we're going to say, I'll sacrifice my life to save capitalism. Oh my God, you stupid idiots. What are you doing? You're just feeding into these stupid banksters' fucking plan. They brought this thing right back down to 88.6s, and this was a total badass boss trade of that gentleman, absolute pro. Uh, and really, looking back in hindsight, you look at that chart and you go, actually, that's pretty normal, right? Failed at Mountain Man, pivoted off of Julian's favorite level, off of a Wyckoff check of the original double bottom breakout. There's really nothing new going on here. So the worst part about this, though, is that this cycle, they actually have the audacity to take this thing up to new highs. And of course, everybody's like, oh, this is new bull market. This is new bull market. Well, could they not then just maybe bring it back down and screw everybody? Because keep in mind, this is Fink. And Mr. Fink, he has made a living out of basically taking everybody in the public's money. So could that not happen again here? I think so. I don't see any reason why it couldn't. I guess that's back here. So I'm a little bit worried that, maybe they pop the top here. In maybe even like a very bow tie-ish fashion, right? Pop the top and back down into reload zones. There wouldn't be anything shocking about that. And then a big fucking face rip insane rally up into the cycle peak. And this is 21st century capitalism, folks. I mean, the interesting thing about this is that we do know that, and this is actually, I just was teasing you with this image right here, right? We do know, and we have some pretty reliable cycle analysis. This is a good old Benkoff check and also neck of a pencil. Andrew did these time fib studies and just absolutely beautiful analysis. And I think this is sort of our bread and butter of how these cycles work, and this aligns perfectly with that conversation about the interest rate cycles. So this image, right, absolutely perfectly aligns with these 4-year cycles. I should probably throw a Bitcoin chart on that just so you can see that. So, I mean, the point of the matter here is there is that end of 2025 cycle event. I'm not sure why that says July. This should say, actually, you know what? I've done this before. This is so bizarre about TradingView. It's like it's schizophrenic. I'll come in and I'll change something, and then I'll come back like a week later and it's right back to what it was. And it's like, what the fuck? Like this happens almost on a daily basis. Chris can attest to this. This happens almost on a daily basis with my goddamn crude oil charts. I keep throwing Hoag's levels on my charts. And actually, I'm really, really proud of myself. Totally killing it here trading crude these days. I think I want to go back and actually I'm missing the days of being a prop trader. I'm hankering to go back to that world, to be honest with you guys. But anyway, I do up these analysis studies on a weekly basis, and my old buddy John Hoagland, he's got his levels that we map out every single week, value high, value low kind of idea, his levels. But it's funny, I'll come in here. I might even come in here tomorrow morning, and you see how this is 10:13, 10:13. I've actually woken up some mornings and it's like the lines are back to where they were like 3 weeks ago, and the dates are like late September, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing, TradingView? I can't figure that out. I mean, if any of you have run into this where lines mysteriously disappear and then reappear and stuff like that, you're not alone. It just drives me crazy. Anyway, okay, so the point I wanted to make here with this was, does anybody remember what it was I was trying to reference here? Oh yeah, that's right, this funny date. I'm not quite sure why we have this date on here. Maybe that was from a previous one. previous cycle. Anyway, this should be like we'll say October 27, 25. And mark my words. If anything, what a beautiful analogy. I mean, I'm always that type of guy, don't get into the business of predicting the future, but this study is so damn spot on, right? The 1.318 nailed it. 1.318, 1.382 nailed it. And here comes another one, 1.382. So we'll see. My hunch is that this is where the corn tops out, which means that we're probably looking at something like this, bull A, B, C, D. And that speaks to the tweets that I was putting out here. Obviously, this is the one that I just put out this morning. I'm for whatever it's worth, and remember, it's just Brian's opinion. It doesn't really mean a hell of a lot. I'm thinking that we're still stuck in this consolidation range. Top end of the range is the old highs. Bottom end of the range is the ETF pivot low. I don't think Fink is going to let the price of Bitcoin go below that ETF event low. I'm a little surprised, to be honest with you, that we haven't done at least a little bit more constructive consolidation. Me and my crazy bot setup, I would like to see one significant low, which was this low at 50,000. Two significant lows. I would like to see one more significant low here to create those three higher lows. And then also two, if I could have like a nice clothesline right in this area, maybe even slightly above this clothesline level. And then that'll actually give me a solid market structure W to work with. And I would ideally like that for all that to happen over here. So as I said earlier, what I'm thinking right now is this is by the rumor. We're coming up into this huge political event, which is in basically like 2 weeks. And do they pop the top here into this coming 2-week window? Maybe. I'm kind of thinking no, but so what? That's just Brian's opinion. It doesn't really mean anything. Do I actually have any setups to justify buying right here? No, not at all. So if we actually drill down to a little bit lower time frame, I put out a tweet. I guess it was yesterday. It's probably on the laptop. And this is frustrating because now this is going to kick me out of the computer. I've got to play hopscotch here. Where is the Bitcoin? Yeah. All right. So cool. Ethereum chart. We got to get to that. And there is the Bitcoin chart. Okay. How are we going to do this? Well, what happens if we go? Well, maybe we can just work off of this. All right, so this is the chart I wanted to show you. This is weekly, the Bitcoin index. Where do I have that index? I have that. RE Bitcoin index. Yeah, there you are. Yeah, how the hell am I going to get you out of here and over there? Stupid computers. How am I going to do this? The Bitcoin index. Oops. Come on. Now I'm clicking too many buttons. Oh, it's Crypto Ideas. What was the name of it? I think it was crypto ideas. So let's go up here. Yeah, then I'm just gonna have to map this all out for you. So sorry. It's gonna be a bit of a pain in the butt. Okay, so looking at the daily price chart here now. And any one of you can do this. We teach this in our education program. I'm trying to think, as the tweet I put out today was kind of like, we've been going sideways here now for about 31 weeks. This market, the consolidation is getting a little bit long in the tooth. And, Mr. Fink here is clearly manipulating this market. He does not want this market to come back down. Do they create some sort of shock or something to bring this thing back down to earth? I don't know. We'll see. But you could make the argument, bot setups, you need to see 33, but no more than 66% retracement. We do have that. So the question ultimately is, do we start painting 3 higher lows to start thinking about risk? And so if we take that one, I'll call this a measured move. This is harmonically an A to B. Let's see, I think we even have a fun little A, B, C, D. Let's go A, B, C, D, A, B. Hey, there we go. There's your A to B. So if this is a trend continuation move, then really we have to be thinking A, B, C, D. So take this line, clone this, boosh, project that off of that low, and there you are, A, B, C, D. We'll change this to, I don't know whether I'll have this, so I'll just manually do this, C, D. Now, the interesting thing about this is one type of harmonic pattern. Sometimes these harmonic patterns can actually, especially this particular one, can actually have 3 different destinations. So whenever I'm sort of mapping this out and sort of conjecturing, okay, well, where are we likely to go? Often what I'll do is I'll put on the 3 different potential outcomes. We can go to just a very symmetrical A, B, C, D. We can also work our way up to 127.2's A, B, C, D. This is an alt A, B, C, D. And then there are some times when we can go all the way up to 1.618 A, B, C, D, also called an alt A, B, C, D. So all 3 of these levels are actually perfectly realistic. So that means we're talking 107,000, 122,000, 143,000. My hunch is our rally peak window, and obviously it's not very scientific, but we said that cycle wise into the end of October there next year is our peak, and I might make the argument that our destination window is somewhere in that box. There you go. That's some scientific technical analysis there for you, by crackers. So here we are. And the interesting thing about this is quite often I see the market will actually set up the trade level. And so you can make an argument. And what's funny is I try to explain this online, yet people are like, man, I can't understand what the hell you're talking about. Maybe I've just been doing this so long I see it in my sleep. But, this is the trade entry level. And if you do take this trade based on this being your entry level and this being your thesis that we're going to do this, means that we're not likely to go through that low. So that's what you risk against. And so basically that's your risk window on the trade. Maybe we'll make this red. And by definition, of course, you're going, whoop, that was weird. Where did the box go? Oh, well. You're going to be buying this level. And that means by definition, we're going to be looking for a move way up top here. So this becomes your potential reward window. And I've tried to explain this to people in the past. I don't know how good of a job I've done it. in years gone by. But quite simply put, your job as a trader is to try and make sure that if you ever do go and risk your money in the marketplace, that the levels that you've identified as what your risk window is smaller than the levels that you've identified what your potential reward is. I mean, that's the secret to this game. Make sure that your average winner is bigger than your average loser, and just let's see what the hell happens. That, ironically enough, that's the secret to all this. It's so simple. But the problem here is that, when we were sitting up here, none of this was developed. And you had to simply just be patient, and you had to be disciplined, and you just simply had to wait for things like the market to actually break downtrend lines, right? And ironically enough, right off of this event, right up here, you could argue a pretty significant downtrend line was established. And if you took the trade here, well, you got your head handed to you. If you took the trade here, got your head handed to you. Took trade here, got your head handed to you. Took trade here, got your head handed. Hey, look at that. We finally broken out on the other side of the trend line. So now you could actually make the argument that this line should theoretically, the old adage is, and actually it'd be interesting to see whether any of you can finish this sentence, right? And then I'll know that at least some of you are listening to me. When we use trend lines, the old adage is, what once was, in this case, resistance, may now become what? This is the reason why you're watching this video, people. You're here to learn this stuff. I don't know whether you can or not, but that's why you're here. You may not realize that that's why you're here, but that's why you're here. Very good, Constantine. Oh, look at that. Mr. Loris Bello. Wow, there's a name. Hello, Mr. Loris Bello. Support. Very good. I don't get how we are heading into summer on that study, though. Well, it's pretty straightforward stuff. DDBB. And I mean, what is, of all people, DDBB? This guy's spitting out more fucking charts that have W's all over them than I've ever seen in my life. This guy, he could literally go to Wall Street and just show them, these are the 20 ideas that I'm interested in, and fucking trading desk would jump all over you to have you part of their fucking trading team. Yeah, I mean, that's the irony. You guys don't even realize this. In fact, I would even challenge, a guy like Steven, he lives in New York City. Steven should literally just walk down Wall Street one day, and with his chart book, and especially with all of him and his harmonicas, and just go to Goldman Sachs, right? And just say, hey, and just find, anybody that's in New York City, right? Especially guys, on the site who know what they're doing. DDBB. I don't know where the hell you are in this world. If you're over there in Europe, right? Go to fucking Frankfurt, or go to fucking Frankfurt. Try saying that 10 times fast. Go to London, right? And so DDB, the irony of it all is that, do you think that you were around when we were at the top of the market there a while ago? I am in New York City, Brian. Well, there you go. Damn straight. So, the bottom line, Jules, are you a member of the site? Here at TRI since 18. Fuck me. All right. Well, you should know Steven then. And why aren't you guys buddy buddies? Where Steve? If you're not on the website, then and you said been here at TRI, well, dude, you know Steven. He lives in New York City. Anyway, point of the matter here is, of all people, DDBB, you should know what the hell's about to happen. All these damn W's. God, you're going to be richer than all of us put together. What's ZK? What the hell are you doing? Grok 2 Mini Beta. What will be BTPC price at the end of 2024? 91,705. Yeah, it could be. It wouldn't shock me. Uh, yeah, yeah, okay. I'm not going to comment about that. What I would say though is there are a lot of people on Wall Street that would actually absolutely love to have you part of their trading teams, DDBB. You just don't realize it. And we live in such a weird, funny little niche here at TRI. You know, we're not even really part of the real world. We live in this really weird bubble where for some reason, and I don't know why, I have a feeling it's spirit. Spirit literally brings people like our buddy Nadia. I don't know whether she's still watching the videos or not, but it would be great to know that she is because I'm really rooting for her and people like her, like people like Jim and Liz, right? I think that literally Spirit has kind of got this as like, look at this is our little secret niche that we've put together, and we are going to send people to this place. It will remain relatively private, and Brian's going to just do his crazy ass thing. And ironically enough, half of what Brian does, he kind of undermines himself with all his swearing and his bad references and attitude and stuff. But I guess subconsciously, I believe like this is supposed to be not like Main Street. No, that's not the right word. Mainstream. Sadly, I don't think TRI is ever supposed to go like mainstream. But you know, DDBB, you definitely get this. You know how to play the game. And so it's kind of comical that you're saying, I can't see how we're going to go into summer. And yet, I want you to go back into the little old lady room and I want you to count how many price charts you have posted in the past month or 2 months that have W's on them. Well, we're what? Yes, but in here it's fall, not summer. I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense. We need a master class from Steven to buy SOL poop coins. Well, the irony of it all is that actually he's got me started. It was just about exactly 1 year ago. So get ready. Here we go again. Yeah, exactly. It was about 1 year ago. So DDBB, just go into the video archive and just hunt Steven. All right. So back to our story. Point of the matter here is I can see 1 kilo. I can see 2 kilos. I can see 3 kilos. Man, I'm a drug dealer or something. I always say that. Stupid joke. What's also interesting about this chart, too, that kind of jumped out at me is look at the funny little battle that's happening right at the bot level. Now, is that accident? Look at this war here. I mean, wicked wick, wicked tail. So basically, they've set the battleground here. I mean, it, absolutely perfect. And actually, they just did this on Ethereum too. Total pivot point. That's beautiful. Whenever you see that, and I was even commenting, I think I said it in the lounge, I can't remember, but you know, whenever you see this kind of battle right off of the bot entry level, clearly somebody's doing something here. Somebody's fucking around with the market here. They want to set something up. Notice how they did it here, same sort of thing. Then big wash down below, then big wash up top. So like it looks like they're trying to flush out as many weak hands as possible through this window here. Something's brewing. So I thought that was really interesting. I might say, you know, for the sharpshooters, this has basically been like a one directional move up. And you probably also hear me often make reference candle body highs and lows for trade location. So that level there clearly jumps out at me. And this one really jumps out at me. So I like the idea. Remember, I had said that you know, off especially off the weekly chart, kind of felt like I needed a bit more consolidation, right? Because if we talk about our bow ties and all that kind of fun talk, right? I think the bow tie looks something along those lines. I guess you could make the argument there's some sort of a trend line along here. So boom, boom, boom. You can see the apex of this. I actually wouldn't mind a nice sort of consolidation. And if you could get like a W that sets up like that, oh, that would be perfect. You might get nice little dips down below. What I really want to see though is I want to see a W on the top of this trend line. I don't really want to go and try and buy something that looks like that. So, what does this? I mean, so I guess the point here is clearly there's something, and keep in mind, I go back to our spring, summer, fall. We are in that spring transitioning into summer. So we should expect some sort of fireworks. Look what happened the last time when we transitioned from spring into summer. This market just fucking went crazy, just straight up. Okay, well, how about the previous time? Remember, and I started jokingly said, where were you in 2015, 16? Transition from spring to summer. This is actually where I think we are right now. And believe it or not, this is what I think is staring us in the face, folks. Are you ready for this? Like, that's a pretty damn big move. Eh? I think we're like right here. And this is what we have in front of us. Holy Jesus. So I also am a little bit worried that how do we say this? I don't think this top's going to be easy. I think it's going to be some sort of insane, you may remember this was Donald Trump's presidency. This was the CME listing of Bitcoin futures as this sort of fundamental event. This could be absolute insanity through this coming cycle peak. I have no idea how this is going to look, but I have a funny feeling it is literally going to be straight up into this. Now, I don't know whether we stop here. We might have to actually go quite a bit higher. I have no idea. But I definitely like the idea that, and again, here's if we go all the way back here, this is going all the way back to 2012, right? I mean, look what happened here. This is insane. Transition from spring to summer. Holy Shiite Muslim. So there's one example. Do you see this DDBB? One example. Two examples. Three examples. Four examples. I don't see why not. Seems perfectly logical to me. So anyway, now DDB's off speaking France. Française. Parlez-vous français? Whenever I say that to the new people to Canada, they're like, what? Oh, this country, I'm supposed to speak French too? Oh, I didn't know that. Anyway. All right. So as I had said there a second ago, I like the idea of us hunting longs. I still think that this is going to be choppy as hell on the weekly charts, but our ultimate destination, if we absolutely have to puke out and have to do things like 88.6s, then I think our ultimate destination is probably around 110, 120,000, something like that. If, however, we can just consolidate and hold these 50,000 lows, then I can actually think we can start really gunning for like 150 plus thousand, somewhere up in that area. And if we're lucky, 2.618s off the previous range, 4.669s off of this consolidation. That's assuming this 50,000 holds. That's also up there. So there's your 2.618, 155, all the way up to 4669. 162. I have no idea what this is going to look like, but my hunch here is we actually are going to have to do a bit of a correction here following this election event. And interestingly enough, one of our site members, Cole, who's super I don't know, just he's very, very good at it. Studying the celestial events, eclipses. He actually had pointed out that he figured that this current eclipse was not going to be that big of an event. And I like the idea that this eclipse started the bow tie. This eclipse is the midpoint of the bow tie. And this eclipse here actually signifies the end of the bow tie. So entering into this pattern, middle of this pattern, finish of this pattern. I really like that thinking, which means, and there's this one guy who sort of predicted, hey, Trump's going to get shot. He's also going to win the election. And then there's going to be an absolute economic catastrophe in the first and second quarter of 2025. That was his big grand prediction and his dream and all that kind of fun stuff. And interestingly enough, I kind of like that thinking because I do think that the election's going to happen. I think that those people, the powers that be, they are painting some sort of massive long-term cycle top here. I mean, huge. Right? This also is very evident in the stock market. So if we go and look at something like the S&P 500, that's this guy here. We can clearly see market is stupidly overbought. So really, us as public investors, you really shouldn't go be risking your hard-earned money in the stock market right now. And then also too, we have these massive long-term harmonics. There's another one of our AB equals CDs. You can see how far away we are. I wouldn't be surprised in the next 2 weeks this is traded to. And with Willie being as stupid as it is, clearly this is the end of the move, not the beginning of the move. So, I mean, if we're lucky, it's a relatively muted correction. If we're unlucky and this thing really has to start unwinding, because keep in mind, the 1%, they're the ones that actually created this when Trump was president, right? This happened when Trump was president. Is it possible that they do exactly the same thing to him this go round? I don't see why not. This perfectly par for the course for these people. They're just pure evil, folks. And I suppose they probably look at Mr. Trump and think he's pure evil, so it's just tit for tat. I think I've told you how much in love I am with this human species. So anyway, point of the matter here is we are definitely in sort of the latter stages of this bull. I'd also make the argument too, been having kind of a fun little chit chat with Hugh Hendry. Watched one of his videos recently, made a comment to him. He commented back, I comment back, blah, 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 blah. But Hugh, of course, has been uber bullish of the bonds, and it's kind of funny teasing him that he's a little bit early. There was an idiot, he used to call himself the bond king and a very typical public participant in the market, uber bullish of bonds right here. And this was absolutely the absolute wrongest thing you could possibly do. And ironically enough, the guy still has hundreds of thousands of viewers and people just adamantly follow him. So it just goes to show to actually be good at social media and to be good at things like YouTube and all this kind of circle jerk kind of talk, you don't actually even have to be right in the marketplace. A lot of times you can be just utterly and completely on the absolute wrong side of the market, and you still have hundreds of thousands of viewers of your YouTube videos. I don't understand how this world works, but anyway, it is what it is. I would actually make the argument, and this image actually reminds me a hell of a lot of the NASDAQ back at the end of the dot-com boom. So the end of the dot-com boom, NASDAQ, of course, topped out. There it is. And you notice, this is basically the opposite end of the fear greed cycle. This is the greed cycle. And notice market totally puked out. I don't even know what you call that, 80, 90% correction. I mean, just an absolute wipeout. But the irony of it all is that where you should be bearish? Well, no, you should have been bearish up here when the public was stupid uber bullish. Think of the bond king guy. What a doofus. Well, I might make the argument that we're seeing basically history repeat itself, but the opposite side of the cycle. Where, here is the bond chart now, the other end of the cycle. And I do like the idea that if we can get some sort of massive blow off top in the stock market, this is basically an asset flows conversation. So if the stock market is booming higher, then that must mean that the growth prospects going forward are better, which means that the people want to sell bonds because, inflation, of course, is going to erode the purchasing power of the bond down the road. So you sell bonds off. And of course, that drives interest rates higher. And people go, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't be so bullish about the stocks if interest rates are moving up. And so people take their money out of the stock market at the top of the market and they go and buy bonds. I mean, it's just back and forth, ebb and flow. Just looking at this chart right now, we could probably look at this and go boom, boom, boom. What's a foggy boggy? That'll probably give us some pretty good targets. There we go, 2.618. So if we really dump hard here, actually, I don't see any reason why we can't come down here. So I don't know where the bottom is here on the bonds, but I do like the idea that they're going to dump these bonds. Rah, rah economy, go, go, go. And of course, they're going to be running the stocks up into that event. Well, how high is high? How high do we go? Remember, I said earlier, this can be a alt ABCD, boom, 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 boom. This could be an, beg your pardon, symmetrical ABC. This could be an alt ABCD, or this could be a face rip alt ABCD. I will tell you, if we do blow off up into these highs, this is an absolute no-brainer short level. Absolutely no-brainer short. But at the same time, too, that would basically be implying that the stock market is going to go up another probably 20, 30%, which, if anything, what this sets up, if we do blow off to some insane peak way up top here, then what this is going to do is this is going to set up like a 1987 crash scenario. And the irony of it all is that, the 1987 crash in the stock market, it was nothing more than just a 50% retracement of the breakout from the bottom of the market. So in a weird sort of way, you can kind of see that they might just go boom, and then boom. And this right here becomes your stock market crash, when really it's not really a crash. It's just a healthy retracement of this insane, ridiculous blow off top that they've basically manufactured. So I'm not really going to get into the business of predicting exactly where the hell this top is. If anything, it would be better for all of us that the market does just politely top out here and then correct and then just quietly clean itself up versus this crash scenario. That's 36% in like one day kind of idea. And also, too, we've talked lots about how the shit's going to hit the fan in like 27, 28, 29 kind of idea. So ironically enough, that actually might be a very realistic scenario. We'll see. Only time will tell. I guess what I'm trying to make, the point I'm trying to make with all this is, if anything, what concerns me here in the short term is this thing's kind of going parabolic. And how do you sort of define how is markets going parabolic? What I did was I just played connect the dots with the lows, and you can see as we make higher lows here, and this is a weekly price chart, so this is going all the way back to well, you could even say pretty much the beginning of 2024. So we started out relatively shallow slope, then we started to ramp up, and bang, we had to come back down and clean up a bit. Then we started to rally back up, maintained a higher low, and now here we are breaking out to higher highs, and we're nice and steep again. So if anything, this is kind of concerning. It looks a lot like that kind of move, eh? So, is the slope of this curve here the same as the slope of this? And of course, you had to have a big punch in the nose here. So I don't like the look of this. This looks pretty disturbing. Haven't quite hit the top here. And I do think, just on an ABCD basis, I like the idea that this thing tops here into this election, right? So we can post on here. Election is right there, right? So right in that window there. I could very easily see a nice little pop into that. But, this might even be, keep in mind, really good analogy. One market that actually we want to keep a close eye on. When Trump was elected last go round, copper prices actually took off like a rocket, which was fascinating. I don't know where the best place to show you this is. And actually interesting, Oh my God, there's so many different conversations we could have. But if we're thinking top of the stock market, that S&P 500, it is interesting how the NASDAQ is actually right up at AB equals CD levels and also at foggy boggy levels. So in a weird sort of way, you can kind of see this might also be a harmonic pattern. I asked Stephen about this last week. We just had our harmonics class for the level 2 program. And I can't remember what his answer was, but I think that could potentially be something like a crab or something. But we'll see what happens here. I'm not quite sure how this is going to play out. That's such a big rally. I think that might negate the harmonic patterns. I can't remember. Anyway, so interesting price action up top here. The problem here is, do we really want to be a buyer way up here? I don't know. It looks like, kind of feels like you're coming awfully late to the party. So, just be aware of that. If anything, I have here on here, you can see these are just natural 50% retracement levels. So 50% of this move here to here is this level here. And 50% of this move from here to here, the entire range is this level here. And then notice, interestingly enough, if I draw trend lines, here's another one of our sort of apex bow tie kind of confluence trend line levels at 50% levels. So this is another reason why I think that, sometime in the early spring, there needs to be some sort of pullback here to clean up this condition here. I don't like the way this looks. And you could make the argument if Mr. Trump here is going to be elected president, then things like tech stocks, they usually don't do very well under Republican presidents. Just for historical reference, who was president of the United States in this window? And actually, I even heard somebody say that it turns out that there is a country around the world right now who's telling its citizens that they should be preparing for war. Was there any kind of war event through this window in the United States of America? Hint, hint, hint. Obviously, the answer is yes. That kind of kicked the shit out of things like growth prospects for stocks in that window. So, was 9/11 an event of convenience? Or maybe we may be seeing a little bit of the future where it turns out actually these things are all kind of pre-planned. I'll leave that for you to make a grand decision. But I did hear, and I was interesting just getting ready for the conversation with you all here today. I did hear somebody say that it turns out Winnie the Pooh is basically saying to his citizens, get ready for war. So having said that, stocks are obviously risk assets. The only way the 1% can fuck the public over is, of course, they're selling into rally peaks, and then they engineer these panic dumps, and then into the panic dumps, they're in there buying all the stock that they sold back. Could we see that happen again? Why wouldn't it? This is par for the course. This is capitalism 101. And sadly, you and the public, you are going to be suckered into saying stupid things like, I will save my life to save capitalism. But what you're really doing is you're basically saying to the 1%, look at, I will take all your bad debt and all your bad economics, and I will download that onto my plate, and they are now my debts, and they are my bad economics, i.e., zombie economies and all these bailouts, to the tune of trillions of dollars. That's all this was. And as soon as Jay Powell got everybody saying, yes, we'll endorse, what was it, like $10 trillion in funding for the U.S. Federal Reserve, and he had his bazooka to be able to blast anybody who is going to not buy and actually maybe even sell. and you see the end result of what happens in the market. So obviously there will be another reason to cause the public to panic and sell and dump. This is just capitalism 101. Let's all try in earnest not to get sucked into it, and for us to acknowledge that when the crash does happen, quote unquote crash, it's actually setting up a buying window. And that's super important to remember. All right, so with that kind of backdrop, this is why I kind of feel like, yeah, I mean, the Bitcoin chart's come an awful long way, but we haven't really broken out here. Could this use a few months of consolidation to get through the bow tie and get through whatever, insanity they have in store for the stock market and through all this election and all that? I think so. Ironically enough, actually, I don't even really have a trade in Bitcoin. What I would actually prefer with Bitcoin, and if anything, we should all look at this and go, oh boy, this got Brian written all over it. So now we've drilled down to like a 4-hour chart. Here was that recent Bitcoin rally, basically straight up. It was interesting a month or two ago. Sjord and I were joking in the lounge. Gee whiz, sure looks like Bitcoin's washed out, bottomed. If you had actually gone and bought this daily bar inside reversal, it was pretty straightforward. It wasn't really rocket science. Maybe I have it off of this. Do I have a daily chart over here? There's a daily chart. So that was this event right here. Pretty straightforward. Reload zones right here. Inside bar right there. Boosh. Pretty straightforward stuff. The only thing is there wasn't really any indicator confirmation here to get too excited about it, but you did have great trade location. On the daily charts, it didn't really set up too well. On the 4-hour charts, oh my God, it was beautiful. So I think this definitely was a 4-hour trade setup. You can see the double bottom, right? That's that daily inside bar level right there. Had you taken that, you risked to new lows. Hell, you could have just risked just the double bottom itself. That is that daily inside bar. You could have risked all the way to new lows, I suppose. Actually, might be even interesting just to say, look at, I bought the inside bar reversal and I will risk to the bottom of this formation and I want to pay myself at 2-1. So have we gotten to 2-1 yet? There's 2-1. Interesting. That was that event right there. What a surprise. Do you think that there were a bunch of people that came in and took that trade, had that risk profile, and were forced to ring the register when this hit 2-1? That's pretty straightforward stuff. It's not rocket science. So either you took this little guy here and you were banging out, total killer 2-1s off of this, boom, 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 which means that you got yourself into a risk-free trade there, had stop at scratch, and you're just laughing. Or you took this really big honking setup, which meant that you had to have pretty wide risk window. But nonetheless, interesting how the rally stalled out right into 2-1s, which actually makes a lot of sense because I was sitting here scratching my head going, now, why on earth did this not hit this A, B, C, D objective? And I was kind of joking with the site. I was kind of going like, okay, so who can prevent themselves from saying the next line here? What? Can you not finish that? As a human, it'll drive you crazy not to be able to finish that. I didn't do it very well, but think of like dun 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 dun, and it's just floating out here. Why won't you get this done? Why won't you get this done? Oh, I know why. Because CZ was let out of jail. Very interesting coincidence, eh? Anyway, market pulled back. As long as it doesn't break this low, this ABCD is still perfectly valid. 3 bits. So we worked our way lower, and I thought that we were going to just like fractal our way right back down to the bottom. But we came back to the POC, and boy, did we ever turn off of the POC there, eh? Wow. So interestingly enough, because of the turn off of the POC, you could technically say that this is an A to B. I don't like trading these third ones though. Like this is A, B, C, D. So that's sort of one, two, or one wave, two waves, but there is this third wave, right? Maybe we say A to B, C to D, and this is C to D. Do we say E to F? Is that what we say? I don't know. Anyway, that would take us up into 72, which would in essence take us basically right up against those highs, eh? And actually interesting, it might even be a little gap up there. So I don't know what I have just for between you and me and the fence post. I have tried to trade these second bots, because there's this first one, A, B, C, D. You can see the bot entry, you can see the bot target, and you should have run the register there. I have traded these second bots that develop here, and a lot of the times they don't work. So that's why I didn't really hunt this, but it is interesting that it's floating out there. But maybe we'll just leave that on the screen as a potential target. But what I kind of see happening here is we have now completed this A, B, C, D. We have also banged up against this primary trend line. And this is an interesting one because it's this high and this high. So if we change this to like a daily chart, notice that is that daily top, up, down, up, fail. And this low is slightly lower than that low. So that's why it's drawn off of that level there. So we go back to that 4-hour chart. Notice that that is basically where we are right now. So what I basically said to the site people is I think that this is pretty good trade location. You've got the A, B, C, D. You're up against a previous high, right? You could make the argument that this was institutional fingerprint, right up here. The bar that made the high plus the preceding bar. So this is basically where they stopped the bull, and it was this candle, right? So right up through there, that's where they stopped the bull. So if they could somehow take the market back into that window, that's where the bears are going to step up and defend their trade. So if we go back to today, where are we in relation to that? Oh, hello. There's the institutional fingerprint, and here we are, basically right into that fingerprint. And you could even argue in a weird sort of way, this is Adam, and this is Eve. Interesting. Might be a little bit fast to call an Adam and an Eve there, but from a location perspective, this is exactly where I would expect the market to top right here. So also notice too, we have a 4669 off of this level here. So the market clearly wanted this level before. And notice how that's the same level here. So it's almost like, and when we look at Ethereum, if I get enough time here, I'm running out of time though, aren't I? Holy shit, it's already 10 to 1. God damn it. I don't know where the hell the day goes. So anyway, we'll wind this up here. So I do like the idea that this is trade location. Also too, remember, we've got election coming up here very soon. Also, you can see we've got divergences starting to show up on this chart. So I do kind of like the idea that, if this thing actually does go and M out here, that's a trade. Like we were talking earlier in the weeks coming into this level, that we had trade location, A, B, C, Ds, trend lines, 4669s. Let's say we got a 1.618 floating out here. We do have a bunch of divergences that are all trying to start form. Right now, we only have MVI and squeeze momentum in confirmed divergences. I would like to see things like MACD. Oh, I actually think MACD actually did have a divergence here. Interesting how MACD is actually trying to W up. So if this W does form here and we push up through the top here, we're not done yet. And of course, we got this 1618, we got 2.618, we got 4669 all up and floating up here. Top could be anywhere up here. Is interesting how RSI does now actually have a divergence in place, I guess potential divergence. So there that is. Willie, of course, stupidly stupid. So we have no business being buyers here whatsoever. So I would make the argument that it's not really a question of if this thing corrects, it's just really a question of when. I suppose you could make the argument that as long as we don't see market structure below trend lines, then we're fine. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Try that again. So there, what the hell's going on here? Okay. Okay, let's try that again. Are you going to draw a trend line? There's a trend line. Good, way to go. All right, there to there. And there to there. So, we've got the break. So now what we need to see is nice market structure on the other side of this trend line. And I think the setup is in. How you actually trade this, I'll leave that up to you. But if I was day trading or something, I would probably drill down to like a 30-minute chart or something and look for some sort of setup in here to get me short. I don't mind that at all. Keep in mind it is Sunday though, so I wouldn't be surprised. I have a general rule. I don't really like day trading on Mondays because there's a lot of effery in the market as they sort of set the market up for the week. So I'd almost kind of want to just let this breathe. And if anything, think kind of like ICT market structure kind of talk, maybe even let this top come in and then let them break this low. And then if they do counter trend rally this thing back into a reload short zone, you got your trade set up right in there, sometime in the middle of tomorrow. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. In fact, we'll do a video on the site tomorrow, Monday. And I'll leave this on the screen and let's just see what happens here. I don't think I have a trade just yet. I wouldn't mind seeing some more confirmed divergence here. And then I would like to see a nice big fat market structure top. I'd like to see them break the previous bullish structure here. And then that counter trend rally back up against the highs if it does happen. And maybe we get something like a MACD zero line kiss. I absolutely love when I see that. Then we might actually have an outright short setup here to consider. Looking at something like Ethereum very quickly here. We got 5 minutes left and then I got to hop. We've been talking quite a bit recently about how Bitcoin seemed to have been like outperforming things like altcoins, and the Bitcoin dominance have been dramatically outperforming recently. I mean, this big rally up here. Didn't really see that out of Ethereum. All we did was we just rallied back to previous ranges. No breakouts. What was interesting too, of course, as you can see, reload zones within reload zones. So it makes perfect sense why we had to stall out here. I'd also make the argument too, although, my megaphone specialist, David, he doesn't really agree with my thinking here. Although I like this, so I'm just going to politely agree to disagree with David. And that's fine. That's what makes a horse race, right? I mean, if anything, this is exactly why we have to fight people like Winnie the Pooh, and we have to fight people like Vladimir Putin. We have to fight these people with every shred of our soul. Because keep in mind, in their world, if I disagree with either of those cocksucking sons of bitches, they will literally murder me. I do not want to live in that world. Thank you very much. I want to live in a world where I'm allowed to have my own opinion. Please remember that, everybody. That's how big the stakes are here. T-bone steaks. Now, Jim and Lizzie's, they're Mohawk steaks. Jim, have you figured out which steakhouse we're going to in February? You've only got November, December, January. You only got 4 months left and you got a free Tomahawk on Brian, but you got to pick the steakhouse. Brian, we are hanging in there. Thank you. Well, but I want to know what steakhouse I'm buying you a steak at. That was the deal. And if it's one thing you can absolutely set your watch to is Brian is a man of his word. All right. So point of the matter here with Ethereum is it kind of felt like it was underperforming. Kind of felt like, kind of like our shave and a haircut, right? All this right in here is bum, ba bum, bum, bum. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. I mean, it's got to come. So we're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally, and this is actually a very well-defined pattern. This is what's called a diamond. Hopefully you can see it looks kind of like a diamond. And the rule is we can't really judge what's going to happen here until we either break the top of the diamond or break the bottom of the diamond. And clearly you can see we just broke the top of the diamond. Yay. So, the bulls all should go, oh, phew, looks like we got more up to come. And then really what this brings us to is this brings us to things like the broader crypto market. I guess this chart's a little hard to see, but hopefully you can see that we see this is the total three. So this is everything but Bitcoin and Ethereum. And lo and behold, there's that diamond pattern too. And it also has been broken to the upside. It's begrudgingly breaking. It's not rip-roaring rally, but it is breaking. So I think that the altcoin market is going to enjoy a bit more up here as well. And because this is a big fat wide W, we could go, well, A to B. Well, I wouldn't do A to B. Let's go foggy to foggy and boggy to boggy. And there is our upside target. Interesting how that also aligns with a previous target of the market, 4669. And then what do you think the odds are? Foggy boggies, if we go A to B, C to D. Oh, isn't that a convenient coincidence? So in a weird sort of way, this is exactly like Ethereum. It looks to me like Bitcoin ran up. Sometimes Bitcoin does that. Sometimes Bitcoin leads. Sometimes Bitcoin lags. I mean, you never know. But in this particular case, it looks to me like A to B, C to D. We've got a date with Destiny up top here with the altcoin market. So we do see a lot of altcoins look very, very interesting here. So I don't really have time. Maybe tomorrow we can go through this in the after party. Well, no, I guess just the regular video that we do for the site. But actually interesting. Our automated trading bot that we have up and running now at TRI, which I'm super pleased about seeing it in operation. Some of the altcoins that we have on the radar, but I don't think I have it here. They seem to be performing pretty well. And this is just the automated system. It just grabs ideas based on technical criteria. The question is, where the hell do I have this on here? I might not even have this over here. Yeah, I guess. Ah, shit. Time to go. All right. We'll finish off with just a quick boo at this. Well, some of the picks TRI is interested in. Solana spat up an interesting buy signal there recently. Still looks like it's just working away here. Oh, darn. Maybe it's crypto chart. No, should have been crypto ideas. Damn it. Oh well. Anyway, hopefully you can see a pretty good looking move higher there. Huh, where did I put that stuff? Let's see. Have it over here. And I gotta get out of here. Damn it, I just don't have enough time. Oh well. You guys got a big old dose of Bitcoin today, so yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that. Where is no, no, should have been what's that? No. 27. Although I don't have a second to give. Here it is. What the hell's the name of this? TRI Screener Picks. TRI Site Screener. TRI Screener Picks. Load. TRI Site. What's that? TRI Site Screener. TRI Site Screener. Well, hopefully it's this one. All right, so Solana. There we are. Ooh, nice. Oh, even better. I'm glad I loaded this. Perfect. So our little algorithm that we have running on the site working really, really well right now. I mean, just absolute insane number of winners. 2-1 already hit, came back, stops at scratch on remaining. Looks like 4-1. Looks like it wants to hit it now. So a lot of these ideas are just sort of humming along. This guy's already in profits, coming into his second profit objective. Had little ones that just absolutely just knock the cover off the ball. Beautiful fractals in reload zones with nice indicator confirmation. 2-1s hit instantly, 4-1s hit instantly. And this one, interestingly enough, just based on the risk-free position, you should just basically have an open order to sell another half of whatever you got left on the books up at 8-1. Don't see any reason why that can't hit it if this thing goes nice and parabolic here. So the next order will be up in that area. And you can see these ideas, they're just working away. So I absolutely love this kind of algo trading. So I think all of our crypto ideas that we had working are still working away here. This guy here, just humming along. He hasn't really hit profit objectives yet, just started. This is interesting because this is Cripple versus US dollar. Look at Cripple versus the British pound. We actually already did hit 2-1s, and we're sitting on the second sell half on a double order working away. So that's kind of a funny story about this is how cool our algorithm is. It even hunts ideas in different currencies, and it just simply wants to find W's in reload zones and nice structural turn signals. But all of these trade ideas are just working away. Look at this one. What a cool example. So 2-1s hit, beautiful RSI turn, great location down at the bottom end of his range. Nice fractal signal. 2-1s hit instantly. Stop at scratch on remaining. You're going to get stopped out. You're going to say, oh, no, never got there. And now look at the W's coming in here. So super cool to see. A lot of these crypto names are just doing their thing. Look at this badass trade. So, just this is a bull market. And interestingly enough, all of these crypto ideas that the system spat up there all seem to be working away. The only ones that, okay, I'm way over time here as it is. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. So clearly obvious that we're in a bull run here. I don't know whether I really want to get too jazzed about buying a hell of a lot of stuff right now, because as you can see, this kind of trade idea, this is getting pretty old. You look at something like Solana, as I had said there a moment ago, can't really come in and buy there. If anything, I'm getting ready to sell some more at my next profit objective. So that kind of corresponds with everything that I'm showing you here in the market. Ethereum, I can't go and buy that there. We're coming into profit objectives up top here. Bitcoin, I can't go and buy this here. We're actually coming into potential selling locations. And this is where you're supposed to be long, way over here. So the problem here is, maybe Bitcoin. Oh, we're getting ready for face rips. We're getting ready for the next, coming of Jesus and all that kind of stuff. And oh boy, we're getting ready for summer seasons and broader markets. But okay, if you're like Joe Sixpack and you don't really know what you're doing, well, I suppose you can go and buy. But this thing's got plenty of risk going back and forth. And as I showed you, like for a lower time frame, an actual somebody who fancies themselves a trader, actual like, hey, I'm, like on Twitter there the other day, some idiot was coming in going, "What the hell are you talking about? I don't understand anything that you're doing." And then this other guy who I used to work with here at TRI, I think he is running his own advisory firm now. He's like, "Well, that's because you're not a trader. You haven't got a fucking clue what you're doing." Which I was like, "Bravo, well said, well said." I wasn't gonna specifically beat the guy up, but it was perfectly said. So, what are you? Are you a trader? If you're a trader, well, trade your setups. Right now, there's no fucking way I'm gonna go and buy something that looks like that. If you're an investor, well, I mean, the good part about it at the very least is that we're getting awfully close to transitioning into that summer window. And when this thing turns summer, oh my goodness, get ready. All hell's going to break loose here. I just think we're still a little bit early to get too excited. And if anything, what is Brian doing through this window? And I suppose we'll finish that off of that, like manually, little old lady portfolios, all that kind of talk. Well, I got to be in there and I got to be acquiring. And if I can, before these goddamn things break out on me, I should be in here buying all these little W's that you see on the screen because this is the buying window. So anyway, hunt your setups, slow and steady wins the race, PMA for the win. Hope you got some value out of all that. Wish me luck on the road with Lily here this afternoon. And of course, we'll see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning for a big old dose of the Beamish on the site. Maybe consider popping on the site and subscribing, and we'll carry on this conversation in the private community tomorrow. All right, have yourselves a great day. All the best. Hugs and kisses, and bye for now.